Welcome to Brindhavan, a space for enjoying Vaishnava Sampradaya, slokas, songs, Divya Desa Pasrams and much more. Today we will see a brief on Bhishma Charitram and chant Bhishma Stuti. Ramanudaya Patram Jnana Vairagya Bhushanam Srimad Venkatanathāryam Vande Vedanta Desikam Sri Sailesa Daya Patram Deepatyadi Gunarnavam Yatindra Pravanam Vande Ramajamataram Manem. Our sincere pranams and dhanyavad to Srimati Banu Sivasubramaniam for the very divine chanting of Bhishma Stuti from Srimad Bhagavatham. Our dhanyavad and blessings are to Siddharth Sivasubramaniam for the very melodious playing of the veena as a primer as we start the Bhishma Stuti. Our sincere dhanyavad to Arti Parthasarathy for the Nada Samarpanam of playing Shantakaram on the veena, a small part of the Vishnu Sahasranamam. This very concise Bhishma Charitram is a Samarpanam to audience paternal great-grandfather Mahamahopadhyaya M.V. Ramanujacharya, a Tamil scholar whose magnum opus work was Sri Mahabharata Parvangal, which he brought out in 18 volumes about 100 years ago, which is the first authentic Tamil translation of Sri Mahabharatham. Let us now see the lineage of Bhishma Pitamaha. Bhishma Pthiamah's father was Shantanu and his mother was goddess Ganga Devi. His grandfather was Prathipan, who belonged to the Kuru dynasty, and his great-grandfather was King Mahabhishak. They all came from the Ikshvaku kulam. Once there was a king, Raja Mahabhishak, who was very illustrious and very pious. He performed 1,000 Ashwamedha yagas and 100 Rajasuya yagas, which is a very great feat. Indra, Devendra, was very pleased with him and granted him Swargaloka. Once in Indraloka, Brahma had come, and all the Devas, along with the Rajarishi Mahabhishak, were seated and praying to him. Ganga Devi came to see Brahma. Ganga was an ethereal beauty, and the Rajarishi happened to see her, while all the other Devas were putting their head down in respect. Chaturmukha Brahma curses the Rajarishi Mahabhishak and tells him he will have to be reborn on earth as a human and go through the human process. And the same Ganga whom he saw will give him a lot of mental trouble, and the curse will be relieved, or he will be relieved of the curse at the point when he gets angry with her and is not able to tolerate her troubles. And Brahma also asks him how he would like to be born, where he would like to be born. And the Rajarishi says that he wants to be born to King Prathipan, a very great, illustrious, a very pious king, and he is born as Shantanu to King Prathipan. At the same time, we have what is called the Ashtavasus. Apa, water, Dhruva, which is the pole star showing stability. Then we have the Soma, or the moon, and we have the Dhara, which is the earth, Anila, which is the wind, Anala, which is Agni and fire, Pratyusha, which is dawn and which ends the darkness of the night. Then we have the Prabhasa, or the Dyaus, which is light or sky, and Prabhasa is the chief amongst the Ashtavasus. This is a representation of the Ashtavasus: water, Apa, Dhruva, the pole star, Soma, the moon, then the Dhara, the earth, and then we have the Anila, which is the wind, then we have the Pratyusha, the dawn, Anala, which is Agni and fire, we have the Prabhasa, which is the Dyaus. The Dyaus is the chief amongst all of the Ashtavasus. We all know about the beautiful Kamadhenu, which is a celestial cow, which brings in all auspiciousness. That Kamadhenu's daughter, Nandini, another very beautiful celestial cow, is with sage Vasishtha in his hermitage. And one day, all the Ashtavasus, they come down to earth along with Dyaus' wife. So as they are walking through the forest, they come to sage Vasishtha's hermitage, and they see this beautiful cow. And Dyaus' wife asks them to get the cow for her. And when they say they will not do it, she insists and gets it for herself. So Dyaus, along with his other Vasus, goes and gets the cow Nandini and gives it to his wife. So now we'll see what happens when sage Vasishtha comes back. The action of the Vasus was wrong, and so when sage Vasishtha comes and sees them that his Nandini, his beautiful celestial cow, is taken away by these Vasus, he gets very angry with them and curses them, saying that they will be born on earth and go through the difficulties. But the Vasus pray for forgiveness, and the other 7 say, we just went along with Dyaus, and Dyaus is the one who took the cow. So please give us forgiveness. And at that point, and they all ask for pardon, and sage Vasishtha becomes a little more calm, and he tells them, I will give you Shapa Vimochanam also. You will all be born on earth, but the 7 of you will be immediately, as soon as you're born, your life on earth will not be long. You will immediately come back. But Dyaus alone, because he did that, he will stay back on earth for a very long time. But he'll be a very righteous person. He will be very good, and he will be very praised by everybody. And all of you will give a certain amount of strength to Dyaus. That's what happened. And so these Vasus, they come back. Ganga Devi, who comes from the Indraloka, as we saw, after paying her obeisance to Brahma, sees these Vasus very sad. So she asks them, why are you sad? What is happening? And they said all the story of how they were cursed by Vasishtha, and they need to be born on earth, and they do not want to be born to humans, and they wanted Ganga Devi to give birth to them. But they also said, according to the curse, as soon as the 7 of us are born, immediately you will have to put us in water and drown us in water, so we can come back. But Dyaus alone will stay to be a righteous person, and he has all our strength and all of us have given some part of our strength to him. Ganga Devi accepts what they say and she says, it will happen as your wish and I will make it happen. Ganga Devi, after accepting what the Vasus wanted her to help with, wanted to make it happen, so she comes down to earth and sees this very pious king on the banks of the river praying and doing his austerities. She goes and sits on his right lap and looks at him, and he asks her, "Oh, beautiful lady, you are sitting on my lap. What is it that you want me to do for you?" She says, "I want you to marry me." And he immediately says, "You seem to be an ethereal person. You look so beautiful and very knowledgeable. Don't you know that the right lap is basically for daughters to sit and the left lap is for the wife? So since you sat on my right lap, I cannot marry you, but you can be my daughter-in-law, my daughter, by marrying my son. By marrying my son, you will become my daughter-in-law." She accepts that and goes to the kingdom along with King Prathipan and marries Shantanu. Shantanu, the son of Prathipan, is the same Raja Mahabhishak whom we saw in the Devendra Loka and who was born on earth, and thus we see how Brahma is saying that Ganga and Shantanu will be married, and we will see what happens further. Ganga Devi accepts the marriage on one condition, saying that none of her actions should be questioned by Shantanu or his father Prathipan. Now that they are married, Ganga Devi and Shantanu start having children. So after each child is born, Ganga Devi takes a child and goes and drowns it in the river. Shantanu starts being very upset, but he is not able to question Ganga Devi because of the father's promise and to Ganga, saying that none of her actions will be questioned. And she had already said, "The day I am questioned, I will leave and go." So since he did not want her to leave him, he does not question her. But when the 8th child is born, he is very upset and begs her not to do that with his child. And that day, Ganga says, "I am Ganga Devi and I will go away because my actions are being questioned, but this son will come back to you sometime later." And Shantanu gets very upset, and it is said that for 36 years he keeps roaming on the banks of river Ganga to see if his child is going to come back. He feels very upset and he goes there. Ganga Devi, being an ethereal woman, she takes the child and trains him in everything. Sage Vasishtha teaches him the Vedas and Vedangas, and Brihaspati, the preceptor of the Devas, teaches him the complexities of statecraft and the duties of a king, because he is the son of a king and he would be ruling the country. And Parashurama, the great warrior, gives him military training and teaches him the secrets of celestial weapon. So armed with all this and mastered all of these from the best of the best ones, Dridavarta becomes a Maharathi. That is, he becomes a very accomplished person. Shantanu was wandering on the banks of the river Ganga, and one day he sees a young youth who has made a bridge with a series of arrows preventing the water from flowing in the Ganga. And he was really taken aback at the tejas of the youth and what he had done. So he goes near him, and at that time Ganga Devi comes back and meets Shantanu. And Shantanu does not recognize Ganga, but then Ganga tells him all his old stories, and he says that this is his son, Dridavarta, who has been trained in many of the things that he needs to be as a king. When Dridavarta comes back to his father, Shantanu, as brought by his mother Ganga, he comes and meets him on the banks of the river Ganga, and he comes with the radiance of a Vasu. He has so much of tejas on his face. He has an unflinching discipline of an ascetic, because he's been trained by the best of the best, as we already saw. And he has profound sense of dharma and balanced his physical power and his deep humility. He has all the knowledge of Shukracharya, and he emerged not only as a prince but as a Maharathi, the most respected person. The father and son, Shantanu and Dridavarta, they come back to the kingdom and they start ruling. And after some time, Shantanu is very sad, and Dridavarta comes to know that he is sad because he wants to marry Satyavati, a fisherwoman. But Satyavati's father refuses to give her in marriage to Shantanu, even though he was a king, saying that Satyavati's children will not be able to ascend to the throne, as he already has Dridavarta as his son. When Dridavarta comes to know about this, he feels very sad, and he wants to make sure that his father is always happy. Dridavarta wants to make his father happy. So he goes to Satyavati's father and asks her in marriage for Shantanu, King Shantanu. When Satyavati's father refuses, Dridavarta promises him and makes a Prathignya, which is called a Bhishma Prathignya, and tells him that he renounces his power, all his power over the kingdom, and he will not have anything to do with the kingdom. And he will also follow lifelong brahmacharya or celibacy and not get married. So he will not have children, and only the children of his father and Satyavati and their descendants will rule the kingdom forever. This is very big because he has made lifelong brahmacharya, which is not simple to take. And on hearing this, all the devas, they showered flowers and blessings on Dridavarta and called him Bhishma. This is the transition of Dridavarta to be called Bhishma because of the Bhishma Prathignya. Actually, the same vow which made his father happy made him to protect the throne and fight on the side of the Kauravas and not be on the side of the Pandavas because of his vow. He had to protect the throne of the Hastinapura. Now we'll see a little bit of the Pandavas and the Kauravas lineage. Shantanu from the Ikshvaku dynasty gets married to Ganga Devi and they have Dridhavarta, Bhishma. Shantanu gets married to Satyavati and they have two children, Chitrangada, who dies very early, and Vichitravirya. Vichitravirya gets married to Ambika and Ambalika and he dies without having, before any children were born. So Satyavati, seeing that since they did not have any progeny, and sees the end of the dynasty, she asks sage Vyasa to beget Niyoga children with Ambika and Ambalika. Ambika blinds her eye during the Niyoga, and that is why Dhritarashtra was born with blindness. And Ambalika begets Pandu. Dhritarashtra marries Gandhari and they have the 100 Kauravas children. Pandu marries Kunti and has the Panchapandavas. Vidura was born again through Niyoga with sage Vyasa to the maid, and so he becomes the stepson of the family. So we have the Pandavas and the Kauravas, and that is why we have the Kurukshetra war which happened as a fight for the throne between the cousins, and we will see further what happens in the Kurukshetra war. We saw that the Pandavas and the Kauravas were cousins, and now when there was a fight between the Pandavas and the Kauravas, the Mahabharata war or the Kurukshetra war, it made a lot of difference because two close-knit families were fighting. So when Arjuna saw his kith and kin, his uncles, cousins, his grandparents, his grandfather there, he was very upset and he refused to fight and turns round to Krishna, his charioteer, and asks him, Partha, do I need to do this? Do we need to fight? Do I need to kill all my cousins, my uncles, my grandfather? And that is when Lord Krishna stops the chariot, takes him aside and preaches him Bhagavad Gita, which we all cherish reading today. Bhagavad Gita is a set of slokas where we learn about Paramatma, and when Krishna tells him that he himself is Paramatma, and he shows him the Vishwarupam and tells him, you are not killing any of them, I have already done it. You are doing what is right. So you have to do your duty. It is your duty as a Kshatriya to fight and do the right thing. And Arjuna goes back and they fight and they win the war. So one of the most important things which we see from the Kurukshetra wars is the most celebrated Bhagavad Gita, the conversation between Krishna, Lord Krishna and Arjuna. One of the important slokas of Bhagavad Gita is Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Moksha Yishyami Ma Shucha. Bhagavan says, you think of me only, Mamekam Sharanam. Surrender unto me and I will forgive all your sins and give you eternal bliss, which is one of the most important slokas of Bhagavad Gita. At the end of the Kurukshetra war, Krishna comes down from his chariot, giving up his promise that he will not take his weapon. He takes his discus, or the Sudarshana Chakra, and comes towards Bhishma. That's when Bhishma lies down on a bed of arrows, and we will see what happens next. When Lord Krishna himself, breaking his vow, comes down from the chariot, taking the Sudarshana Chakra to kill Bhishma Pthiamah, he lies down on a bed of arrows and waits for his time to come, that is Uttarayanam to come. Bhishma Pthiamah has the boon of Iccha Mruthyu, that his soul can depart his body at a time when he wishes to. So he lies and he is waiting. And as he is waiting for this to happen, Lord Krishna asks Yudhishtra to go and speak to Bhishma Pthiamah and get advice as to how to run the kingdom, how to rule the kingdom in a righteous way. And Bhishma Pthiamah gives him all the advice, and when Yudhishthira asks him about Bhagavan and the superior power or the supreme power, one that can give us moksha, that can give us eternal bliss, Bhishma Pthiamah tells him all of the Vishnu Sahasranamam, answering his questions. So Vishnu Sahasranamam, told by Bhishma Pthiamah at this point in time, it is a conversation between Yudhishthira and Bhishma. And in that, he gives all the Gunas of Bhagavan in the 1,000 namas, which we all recite with great reverence. So this is one more gift from Bhishma Pitamaha on Bhagavan, Sri Vishnu Sahasranamam. Just like Ramayana was recited by Lavakusha in front of Lord Rama, Vishnu Sahasranamam was told by Bhishma Pitamaha in the presence of Lord Krishna, who heard everything and who accepted it and said that he is only Lord Krishna. That is what makes Vishnu Sahasranamam very divine. Next is Bhishma Stuti. Bhishma Stuti is 11 slokas which we see in Srimad Bhagavatham 1.9.32 to 1.9.42, where Bhishma Pitamaha talks about the glory of Bhagavan and sings about Lord Krishna. At the end of the 11 slokas, his soul departs. And Lord Krishna, being present there, blesses him. We will now have Bhanu Sivasubramanyam recite the Bhishma Stuti. And before we start the Bhishma Stuti, we will have Siddharth Sivasubramanyam on the Veena doing the primer.
Sri Bhishma Stuti. யோகேஸ்வரரான பீஷ்மர் மகாபாரத போர் முடிந்து போர்க்களத்தில் அம்பு படுக்கையில் உத்தராயண புண்ணிய காலத்தை எதிர்பார்த்து படுத்து கொண்டிருந்தபோது சாக்ஷாத் பகவான் ஸ்ரீ கிருஷ்ணனே அவர் முன் வந்து நின்றார். அந்திம காலத்தில் தன்முன் தாமாகவே வந்து நின்ற பகவானை பார்த்து பீஷ்மர் செய்யும் ஸ்துதிதான் பீஷ்ம ஸ்துதி. கோபிகா ஜீவனஸ்மரணம் गोविंदा गोविंदा सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय. श्री भीष्म स्तुति श्रीमद् भागवतम முதல் ஸ்கந்தம் 9வது அத்தியாயம். श्री भीष्म उवाच इति मतिरुपकल्पिता वितृष्णा भगवति सात्वत पुंगवे विभूम्नि स्वसुखम् उपगते क्वचित् विहर्तुं प्रकृतिमुपेयुषि यद्भवप्रवाहः त्रिभुवनकमनं तामालवर्णं रविकरगौरवराम्बरं दधाने वपुरलककुलावृताननाब्जौ विजयसखे रतिरस्तु मे अनवद्य युधितुरगरजो विधूम्रविश्वक कचलुलितश्रमवान् अलङ्कृतास्ये मम निशितशरैः विभिद्यमान त्वचि विलसत्कवचे अस्तु कृष्ण आत्मा पतिशकिवशो निशम्य मध्ये निजपरयोर्भलयोरतं निवेश्य स्थितवती परसैनिकायुः अक्ष्णाहृतवती पार्थसखे रतिर्ममास्तु व्यवहितपृतना मुखं निरीक्ष्य स्वजनवधात् विमुखस्य दोषबुद्ध्या कुमतिमहरत् आत्मविद्यया यश्चरणरतिः परमस्य तस्य मेस्तु स्वनिगममपहाय मत्प्रतिज्ञां ऋतमधिकर्तुम् अवप्लुतो रथस्थः धृतरथचरणोऽभ्यय चलद्गुः हरिरिव हन्तुमिभं गतोत्तरीयः शितविशिखहतो विशीर्णदंसः क्षतज परिप्लुत आततायिनो मे प्रसभमभिससार मध्वधार्तं स भवतु मे भगवान् गतिर्मुकुन्दः विजयरथकुटुम्ब आततोत्रे धृतहयरश्मिनि तच्छ्रिये क्षणीये भगवति रतिरस्तु मे मुमुक्षो यमिह निरीक्ष्य हतागतासरूपम् ललितगतिविलास वल्गुहास प्रणयनिरीक्षणकल्पितो रोमानाः कृतमनुकृतवत्य उन्मदान्धा प्रकृतिमकन् किल यस्य गोपवद्वः मुनिघननृपवर्य संकुले अन्त सदसि युधिष्ठिर राजसूय येषां हरणमुपपेध ईक्षणीयो मम दृशिगोचर एष आविरात्मा तमिममहमजं शरीरभाजां हृदि हृदि दिष्टितम् आत्मकल्पितानां प्रतिदृशमिव नैकधार्तमेकं समधिगतोऽस्मि विधूतभेतमोहः गोपिका जीवनस्मरणं गोविन्द गोविन्द.
Adiyongal, Dasoham and Danyosmi from Parthasarthi Srinivasan family for joining us in our Bhishma Charitram on Bhishma Ekadashi 2026. See you all in our next Vaishnavadabhav. To know more on Bhishma Charitram and Arthanubhavam of Bhishma Stuti, please visit brindavanjapam.org. Please share with like-minded friends your Vaishnavadabhavam on brindavanjapam.org.